Good morning. So we're starting our morning with a charter change. H490 about Lindenville and Linden. We don't have possession of the bill yet, but we thought we would. And Tucker's schedule is a incredible Jenga board. And so we are going to do all of our work on this very small thing that has very large charter change that has no fiscal impact on the state. And then, but we're not going to vote on it till this afternoon, but we won't have Tucker here when we vote. So slightly rigged process, but I'm sure we can all make it through. And then we're going to work for a little bit on S99, which is the miscellaneous DMV bill, which again, we have sort of a small jurisdiction over a large bill. And then we will jump back into S56, which I have the staff.
Good morning, everyone. I will put up on the screen H490, which is a bill to approve the merger of two municipalities. That's the Village of Lyndonville and the Town of Linden. With the source of municipal mergers, the key financial issues that come up are first, the transfer of assets and liabilities between the municipalities. So that would be from the village to the town. And second, the possibility of special taxation districts to ease the tax impacts from merging two formerly independent taxing entities. So there are really only two pieces of the bill that I can show you that relate to that. First, big picture, all of the assets and liabilities of the village are transferring to the town. The village will no longer exist. The town's taking on all of those debts and acquiring any of the accounts that the village had. In addition, and this is on page 30 into 31, there's a section of the proposed town charter that expressly calls out that the municipal utility that exists in the Village of Lyndonville, which is their electric department, is transferring to the town. It's now going to be the Linden Electric Department. And this section calls out that all of the assets and liabilities of that municipal utility are also transferring to the town of Linden.
Tucker, did you do a fiscal note on this, or do I have to?
So I actually will answer that. I have a very formal email from Ted Burnett at JFO, which I actually just forwarded to you, Carolyn, which says an act relating to approving, after review of H490, an act relating to approving the merger of the Village of Lyndonville with the Town of Linden, we would like to note that while the bill may have municipal fiscal impacts, it does not appear to have any state fiscal impacts.
Excellent, okay.
So where are the potential impacts for those municipalities, soon to be singular municipality? They are in the transitional provisions. And this is a structure that the General Assembly has seen in a few other proposed mergers in the past. Some succeeded, some did not. But page 35, you have the fiscal transition between the village and the town. This proposes that for the upcoming fiscal year, as soon as you have the merged budgets of these two municipal entities into just the town of Linden, and that's going to begin on January 1st, 2024, the select board of the town is going to propose a special services district. It will have the same boundaries as the former Village of Lyndonville. And the voters of that district will have an opportunity to approve the creation of the district. That generally tracks with what general law allows for what's typically referred as special assessments, where you have a method of apportionment. That method of apportionment is spelled out in this proposal from the town. Specifically, and this is in subdivision 3, that in 2024, 7% of the merged budget will be assigned to the special district, aka the former village. The remaining 93% will be assigned to the grand list of the town as a whole.
As a whole, That includes
The
the
special
district,
district, yes.
just to be clear, yeah.
So if you live in the district, the former village, you are being taxed on 93% of the budget and the 7% of the budget that is assigned to the special taxing district. In 2025,
Can you describe what the special district will do?
it will exist almost exclusively for the purposes of easing the tax increase on the town from absorbing the village.
Oh, okay, awesome.
This is the reverse Essex Junction.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
This is a building, from quiet perspective.
There's a gradual step down built into this merger so that the tax burden isn't felt all at once. And that's why in subdivision 4 in 2025, it goes from 7 and 93% to 4 and 96%. And then by the 2026 budget, it's 100% for the town. And that's the year that the select board is given authority to repeal, is the term they used, the special services district, but it'll be dissolved unless there's a future need. And if there's any concern about the clause there that says unless they foresee some future need, they would still need to spell out what the method of apportionment would be for any future tax. And there would likely be an opportunity for that district to vote on any of those tax changes.
So the districts are euthanized on vote of the select board, but created by the legislature.
The authority to create the district is delegated by the legislature,
To the select.
to be proposed by the select board and confirmed by the voters of the district. That's the structure spelled out in that.
But no legislative act is required to dissolve them, apparently.
Yes.
Got it, thanks.
The legislative body, once the tax transition is over, can,
Bye-bye.
yes.
And we as the legislature at some point delegated that back over to the towns and villages.
There is a general law provision in 24 VSA Chapter 87 that governs the creation of special assessment districts. Typically, these are going to be used for municipal infrastructure purposes. And I'll try to keep this as general as possible and not dive into the complicated stuff that I might not have committed to memory. But in general, there has to be first the proposal for whatever the infrastructure addition is going to be for the town. It has to contain a method of apportionment to the property owners that will be affected by the potential tax. And then finally, there has to be consent, direct consent from the property owners, or a majority of the voters of the municipality have to approve both the creation of the special assessment district and the application of the tax and its method of apportionment. And this is also how municipalities propose to have essentially a taxing revenue base for when they apply for downtown district designations. The special assessment chapter is how they get there.
Okay, Marty Feltus sent us a message, and somewhere in that message, she says that the voters know there's going to be a tax implication, but she doesn't say they voted to accept it.
Not yet. That's going to be proposed after the budget comes out, apparently. So this states that after the merger, the select board will propose the creation of the district. It will include the properties in the former village and the grand list associated with those properties in the village. A special meeting in that district, so within the village, will be held if a majority of the residents approve the creation of the district at that time. The district will be formed and this tax sharing will be carried out through.
Okay, so they've got this all in control.
They have the opportunity to revisit this issue. Yes, the voters do.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't have a position of the bill yet, so I can't make a motion, but I think this demonstrates foresight and astute use of statutes to do things the right way.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
And they don't have any, I mean, special taxing authority that any other municipality would have, right, under this. It's just that they kind of portion their existing tax authorities.
Correct. And it is likely, I would assume that the property owners taking the long view within the district would see the creation of the special taxing district as actually tax relief opportunity, right? Because the district exists for 2 years, you pay what is likely going to be a step down property tax, even though you have a special taxing district, they're likely going to be paying less property taxes because the services that the village provides are now going to be spread out 93% throughout the entire town. And then 96% in year 2.
I'm not clear on what the people in the special service district are paying for taxes.
They're paying their allocated 7% and then 4% in the next 2 years. And they're also paying the other share of the budget, 93% and 94% that is assigned to the town as a whole.
Okay. Does that mean they're paying 107% of it? They're paying 100.
It all adds up to 100% of the now merged town budget.
Okay.
Representative.
Can we ask questions on the amendment, on the government ops thing?
Yeah.
Okay, the covered bridge deal, the 10,000, did they ask us to do that? Or did they ask GovOps to do that, or how did that come about?
That section in the bill as introduced allowed the town to adopt any ordinance with up to a $10,000 penalty, and also allowed the town to enforce that up to $10,000 penalty on a per day basis. The maximum that is allowable under general law is $800 for violation of an ordinance, and it has to be designated civil or criminal. The committee had some concerns about having just general authority to adopt an ordinance governing anything the municipality has authority over. So, for example, use of sidewalks with a possible $10,000 penalty associated with it. So they invited the town to come testify about what the intent of that section was. The intent was to get at the costs of damage to, I think they said 5 or 6 covered bridges in the town that are very frequently
We have
damaged.
5 or 6 covered bridges in Linden.
Yes, and 2 of them are apparently on their main roads and get hit very frequently. And
Despite many aside.
Box trucks, just box trucks particularly, yes.
so the intent of that section is not to have general authority to adopt any ordinance governing dog licenses with a $10,000 penalty. It was to be able to get at these covered bridge violations because the maximum ordinance penalty under their current village charter is $200. General law is $800, and state law for damage to a covered bridge is $1,000 for the first offense, $2,000 for the second offense. And it's very difficult to enforce and catch these trucks that take out all the cross trusses.
Mm-hmm.
So the negotiations that happened in House GovOps were to craft this so that it is specific to covered bridge offenses and allows up to $10,000 or the cost of repair to the covered bridge, which was really what they were trying to get at, is when there's a $40,000 smash job on the covered bridge that they need to pay for out of the town budget and have very little legal recourse to pursue. For example, an insurance company for a box truck.
Sure, okay, so So the 10,000 goes to the town, not the state, even if these two bridges that are on the main road are state roads, that still goes to the town.
Here, yes, they would be applying a town-specific penalty and collecting the civil. This is also specifically a civil penalty to avoid any possibility that this would rise to a fine level associated with, for example, a felony.
Okay. It ought to be a felony.
Did Marty submit testimony that I've not seen? Carolyn?
She sent us a letter.
Everyone?
Did everybody else
I did
get
not
it?
get anything either.
Maybe, it must have been only me.
Okay, great.
I'll forward it to you.
Okay, Artie, you're welcome to just keep it for yourself, so I don't know. If she just intended to send it to you, then. Or not.
They're not main roads, would be considered side roads, but Google Maps takes people on them, that's what happens.
Are they state highways?
I doubt it, but yeah. Google Maps is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm familiar with this bridge. It's right below the fields from Linden Institute.
Right,
And it
yeah.
appears to be a main road. And somewhat tongue in cheek, when I was on the select board in Deptford, I suggested we put a plank with open cans of paint up above. To be able to identify. I didn't mean to say, we never did, but identify which vehicles run through. And, but anyway, I think I'm fine. This is good, you know.
Okay, so now I'm forwarding a message on, but Tucker, the last instance of amendment looked weird. What happened there? Revised, it says. Crosses out something and then puts in revised.
It puts in reserved, and so the town had substantially copied general law and put it in the charter with a few word changes. And it was so similar to what they can already do now, just like any municipality can do in the state with warnings for their budget meetings, that the committee asked the town, did you really intend to have special language or do you intend to use the general law? The answer was the town intends to just keep using general law. So the committee just took that out so that there would be no discrepancy between the special charter language and general law and put in a reserved bracket. I put in a reserve bracket so that we didn't have to renumber all the remaining sections of the charter that go up to number 93. So otherwise, that amendment would have been, 50 pages long.
So I don't have to worry about that, presenting the fiscal impact on the floor. Does not. Got it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm happy. And Emily, I just sent that letter to you. Shall I send it to everybody?
Just send us a version, and then she'll.
Okay.
Sure. Anyone else? Anything? Okay. Thank you, Tucker. We will vote on this afternoon, but does anyone need Tucker while we vote? Okay. Thank you, Tucker. Oh, can I ask you another question?
Yes.
I mean, unrelated to this. If municipalities wanted to create a more progressive tax code for their municipality, do they have authority to do that?
What kind of tax? Property taxes?
I've had questions, that's why I'm asking.
Likely not.
Thanks.
Likely not. And I say likely not because there's already so many guardrails around the application of municipal property tax in Title 32. And also because there would probably have to be attention paid to making sure that you are treating similarly situated classes of taxpayers the same way. And are some proportionality tests that Abby Shepherd is way more familiar with than I am about when you have essentially special classes of taxpayers that either pay more or pay less that go into ad valorem services administered by the municipality. So, creating special tax classes, higher tax rates
But they
for
can
the exact
stabilize
same
tax
thing.
classes.
Funding into ad valorem generally available services, sometimes that can trigger some constitutional scrutiny.
But they can stabilize certain.
They can create tax stabilization agreements, yes,
We gave them that permission.
because you gave them that permission in statute, yes. But
But they couldn't stabilize a class of
within those tax stabilization agreements, you're treating classes of property the same way. You're not taking two commercial properties and giving them different opportunities. They qualify for the stabilization agreement based on their fixed status as a taxpayer. You are this type of property. You can qualify for this type of stabilization agreement. But if you were to create, again, this is why I'm saying with trepidation, likely not, is if you were to create a progressive structure that treated similarly situated taxpayers differently for purposes of the general property tax, that would trigger some issues potentially. And you should check with Abby on that. She's the expert.
Thanks.
Thank you all so much. Have a good morning.
You too.
Down to GovOps for 3 more charters. Here we go.
Anthea and Chris are joining us at 9:30, so we're gonna be at meetings in 5 minutes.
Back and forth. I hope.
You want me to take us off live?
Chris has everything.